In this video, I'm going to be teaching y'all how to color grade an entire music video from start to finish inside of DaVinci Resolve using nothing but the built-in tools. I don't want to waste any of your time, so let's go ahead and hop on over into Resolve and get to grading. The first thing that we're going to want to do is just simply go down to the settings tab right here. We're going to make sure our project is set up properly. We're going to make sure that the timeline color space is set to DaVinci Wide Gamma / intermediate, and the output color space is Rec. 709 Gamma 2.4. The next thing we're going to do is go up here to View. We're going to go to Timeline Thumbnail Mode and go to Source C Mode. This is just going to organize all of our clips the way that we shot them. So it's going to make everything easier to color grade because every scene and angle and stuff is going to be exactly in the order that we shot it. So everything will already be kind of grouped together for us, as you can see in the clips timeline right here. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to organize all of our sections of clips or groups of clips into their own group. So I'm going to go to this first clip right here. I'm going to go to the end of this group of clips. I'm going to hold Shift on my keyboard and click on this clip right here. I'm going to right click and I'm going to go into Add into New Group. I'm just going to name this group Street since he's standing in front of the street. Make it simple. I'm going to do this for all of our different groups of clips. Go right here. Shift, right click, add into new group. We'll just do this lot for parking lot. Okay. Next group of clips, go to the end. Shift, right click, add into new group. Call this tunnel. Tunnel. And then the last group of clips, we'll just call bus. Now that we have all of our clips grouped together, we're going to set up our color management. We're going to go to this right here where it says group pre-clip, where these dots are. Then we're going to add a color space transform. I shot all this footage in Panasonic V-Gamut V-Logs, so that's what I'm going to set my input to. I'm going to set my output to DaVinci Wide Gamma, DaVinci Intermediate. That's going to be my working color space. We don't need any tone mapping for this. I'm just going to turn tone mapping off. So now that I have this set up, I'm going to make a steal of that. I'm going to make sure all of my different groups have this same IDT. So I'm going to go to this right here. I'm going to go and add this right here. Go to the next group. Same thing, group pre-clip. I'm going to drag my IDT onto every single group. The last one. Boom. We're going to go back to the beginning of the timeline. Now we're going to go to the group post clip. We're going to start, first we're going to find a frame we want to build our look on. All right, so now that we have the IDT applied to all the different groups, we're going to start building our look in the group post clip. It's going to be the third dot, second from the right here, group post clip. We're going to add a color space transform. We're going to go from DaVinci Wide Gamma, DaVinci Intermediate to Rec. 709. And instead of going to Gamma 2.4, we're going to go into Cineon Film Log because we're going to be using a film print emulation, and this is what it expects. So then we're going to set gamut mapping to saturation compression. Then we're going to add another node. We're going to right click on the node, go to LUT. We're going to click on Film Looks, and I'm going to select Rec. 709 Kodak 2383 D55 for this tutorial. Next thing I'm going to do is add one more node to control my black point or the flare of this LUT. I'm going to go ahead and label these CST 2383. Call this one flare. Now I'm going to add another node before the CST. I'm going to add this DCTL right here. I'm going to go to CKC exposure chart V1.3. This only works in the studio version of DaVinci Resolve. And also, you don't really need to do this. I like to just check where all my levels and contrasts are, my exposure, when I'm building my look. But if you want to download this, just look up Cole and Kelly exposure chart. I'm just going to click on this. I'm going to set it to DaVinci Intermediate because that's what I'm working in. And then for now, I'm just going to set this to 1, show ramp off. All I want to see on my waveform is my middle gray point. If I were to turn my LUT off for the 2383, the film look, and go to Rec 709 Gamma 2.4, you'll see where my middle gray point is sitting, and that's why I like to use this right here so I can see this. You can see just going to Rec 709, once converted to display, my mid gray should sit right under 40 on the waveform. And then when I turn on, when I go back to this, Cineon, when I turn on the LUT, you can see it sitting above 40. So I want to fix that after I finish building my look. But for now, I'm just going to go back to here. I'm going to reset this, show ramp. Right now, when I mentioned this node, it's called flare to control my black levels. You can see right here that my blacks on the waveform sit right above the 0 point on the waveform. It sits they're a good bit lifted, or lifted a good bit. And I want them to sit on this like white line right here, right above 0. So I'm gonna go to my flare. I'm gonna go to my log wheels. I'm just gonna drag this down until it sits right about on that line, just like that. Also, the 2383 naturally has just like a ton of contrast, and I want to take a little bit of that out. So I'm gonna add another node after the exposure chart. I'm gonna go right here. I'm gonna go back to my primary wheels. I'm gonna bring my lift up to about 2. I'm gonna bring my gamma up to like 1. And then I'm gonna bring my gain down to somewhere like around 83. All right, right about there. So now I can see my black point's a little lifted again. I'm gonna go back in here, go back to my log wheels, bring that back down. Come back over here. I'm gonna go back to I'm gonna see where my middle gray point's sitting now. See if I changed it. Show ramp steps 1. Now I'm gonna check my middle gray. Now I can see that my middle gray point is under 40 by a good bit after I do this. So it goes from there. So I'm a little under where I want it to like eventually land. So my offset wheel, I'm just gonna bring up my offset until it hits right about where it's supposed to hit, which is right under 40 RRE. As you can see, it's hitting right there. So now I got everything dialed in. I can just turn this node off. So this is gonna be my look for right now. So I'm just gonna take all of these and right click, create compound node, label this my ODT. So that's taking me from log to display. So if I toggle it on and off, you can see what's happening, which is get me from a log image to a Rec 709 image with my own film look applied to it. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna simply grab a still of this. I'm gonna apply it to every single group. So now I'm gonna go to the next group, right here, group post clip, apply grade. I'm gonna go to the next group, right here, apply grade. And don't worry, we still gotta do some shot level grading. This is obviously doesn't look good right now. Everything's overexposed and just kind of out of whack because of how I shot it. But that's what the clip level grading's for. So we'll dial it all in. And you can see what the group post clip is doing. Once I add the look to the post clip, every clip in that group gets the look. All right, now that each group has the look applied, now we need to do all of the clip level grading. And this is where the whole project and the look of the video is actually gonna come together. Now, what we're gonna do is start building the node tree for the clip level. So I'm gonna go right here to the second from the left, little bubble where it says clip. I'm gonna click that. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make this first node for noise reduction. I'm just gonna undo this for now. So this will be, we'll go ahead and label this noise reduction. Then we'll add right click, add node, add serial. We'll make this for our scene level exposure and balance adjustments. So I'll label this exposure scene. And we'll add another node. I'm just going to use a keyboard shortcut this time. I got mine set up to Shift D, but that's not the default keyboard shortcut, but you can just add node and see what the shortcut is. So mine's Shift D. So I'm going to label this. This is going to be our angle level exposure adjustment. So it's going to be exposure angle. I'm going to add one more. And this is going to be exposure for my clip level adjustments. So what this for, the exposure scene is for, is to set the whole exposure and balance for the entire group of clips. The angle is going to be if a specific angle doesn't match the overall scene level exposure and balance that I set. I'll use that angle node to adjust those. And then the clip, I don't really use this much. This is just simply for if one of the clips from a certain angle doesn't match that angle, I'll use this to balance that shot out. We're going to add another node. This will be for if anything in the group needs a contrast level adjustment. You shouldn't really need to use this node that often if you set a good level of contrast for the overall look. This is just for like really if somebody used a different lens that doesn't match the contrast, or the lighting changed a little bit and the contrast ratios are off, anything like that. But with the right cinematography and the right lighting and everything, you shouldn't have to use the contrast node that often. Add another node. This would be to adjust the saturation. If anything saturation wise feels off in the shot, then I'm going to add node corrector. I'm going to make 3 nodes right here. This is going to be for like basic masking. So this will be for like the left side. I'm going to name this LX. This will be for like anything in the middle that needs masking. So MX. And this will be anything on the right that needs masking. So I'll do RX. Let me go add about 5 more nodes for anything extra we may need in the grade. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So something like that. I'll just be like E1, E2, E5. And that'll be for, like I said, for anything extra. These will be for like power windows and masking and stuff like that. So I'm going to take the saturation green input and drag it into the LX and into the E1. I'm going to go right here. I'm going to add a node. I'm going to add a parallel mixer. I'm going to bring these in right here. Then I'm going to add another node. This will just be for like my vignette. Add node, add outside node. And this will also just be like for the reverse of that vignette. And then take this connection point and connect it back so everything's tied together. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set all of these to gamma stops 18% gray. And what this is going to do is it's going to allow me to use my printer lights on my offset wheel, just like if I was working in linear color space. Like if I right clicked and clicked gamma and went to linear and then use my game wheel, I'm going to be able to use my keyboard shortcuts for my printer lights. Instead, if I go to gamma stops 18% gray, which is a pretty cool trick that I discovered just messing around inside of Resolve. Up here, I got my color printer light hotkeys, half printer lights. I can adjust my exposure by just clicking plus and minus on my keyboard. I can do my color balancing by just changing my red, green, and blue with my F keys so I can quickly balance my shot if it needs any balancing. I'm going to take this first scene level node. I'm going to go to save as shared node. I'm going to right click it again and unlock it. So like I said, this is a scene level exposure and balance node. So now that I have this set up as a shared node, anything I do even though we're at the clip level, anything I do in this node will happen to the entire group once I apply this node tree to all of the clips in this group. So the next thing I'm gonna do is set up my noise reduction. Go right here. For this project, I'm gonna do frames 3, better. I'm gonna put this at about 4. For this, I'm gonna go better. And I like about 40 to 50 for my camera in this type of situation. So I'm gonna just put it on 50 for now. All right, so now that we have our basic node tree for the clip level adjustment set up and our noise reduction, I'm gonna add this node tree to the entire project. I'm talking about every single clip in every single group. So I'm gonna take this first clip right here. I'm gonna go to the end of the timeline, click shift, click this clip. I'm gonna go back to the beginning, and then I'm gonna middle mouse wheel click on this first one that we created it on. It's gonna say replace existing active grades. I'm gonna click replace. So now if I go through, you'll see every clip in the timeline, no matter the group, got this same node tree. Now that we have the node tree applied to every single clip, 80% of making this image look good is really going to come in this first node right here, the exposure scene level. Once you got your exposure and your balance dialed in, the image should be like 80% just looking amazing, maybe even 90, 100%, just depending on where you're trying to take it. The angle nodes only like for different types of lighting setup. So maybe you flip the lighting and the white balance shifts a little bit or something for a certain angle. You'll go in here and fix it. A lot of times, if the project shot under the same lighting, you won't even need these two nodes. Everything will fall into place right here. So I'm just gonna set the overall exposure and balance using my offset printer lights in this node. So I'm just gonna do my plus and minus key, but I'll go right here. So you can see my offset wheel moving. I'm just gonna go down on my exposure a little bit. See where I want it to sit. 60. I think it could be a little bit darker. Let's try right there. 50, 55, 60. I like that. That looks good. So like I said, I did this in the scene level node. So what's gonna happen is if I go to each one of these clips in this group, they all got this same adjustment. So I can toggle it on and off. For each one, you can see, so that's what the scene exposure does. So also if I'm like, okay, I feel like the white balance is off, I need it to be changed a little bit, I can also use my vector scope and my printer lights back. Maybe it's too cold and too cyan and blue here. I can just go back to my offsets, use my keyboard shortcuts, add in a little bit of red, maybe a little more red. So maybe we think that's a better balance. So again, that's gonna happen to every shot without having to do it to that shot because we did it at the scene level exposure and balance node. So let's say that's a good balance for all of these images. I said everything in this group is going to be affected by that. So we'll just go through the entire group, looking at all the shots, see if anything at the clip level needs to be adjusted. All these are pretty much using the exact same lighting setup under the same lighting conditions. So I'm probably just going to keep the exposure for the scene set right here. I think all of this looks good. So now we'll move on. Do the same thing for the next scene. All right, so I actually made a mistake. Since I'm making a tutorial, I made a mistake when I did this exposure node and I set the shared node. I should have made the shared node after I already put the node tree on all of the clips. I should have done it for each group because now, as you can see, this shared node's getting the same adjustments from the other group of clips. So I'm actually going to convert this to a corrector. Reset this. I'm going to reset the node grade on that. Make sure it still stops. All right, now I'm just going to recopy all of the clips from here on out to this. I'm gonna middle mouse wheel click on this, replace. So now all of them should be fixed from here on out. So now what I'll do for each group, I'll just set at the beginning a shared node. So save as shared node. Make sure it's not locked. Now I'll just copy this group right here, shift, and then I'll recopy the node tree. So now all of the clips in this group have this shared node. Let's just say that's a good frame. Let's go to exposure, go back to our printer light offsets. Click the minus key, start adjusting my exposure some. Still a nighttime scene, so I want it to be relatively dark. I don't want it to be too bright. Go back to my waveform for now. See where the skin tone's living. It's about 30, 35, 40 RE. No direct light sources really hitting him. So let's just say I like this exposure for this scene. Now, as you can see, all of the clips in this group will have got the same adjustment, so I don't got to do it on an individual basis. See where my white balance is. Where's the skin tone at? The skin tone's pretty good, right on that skin tone line. So I'll just leave that balance there for now. I'll just call it good. So now we'll just keep it moving so we just get a fast base grade. We'll go ahead and go to the next group. We're gonna do that same thing, right click, save as shared node, lock, unlock that, select this group of clips, whole group, boom. Middle mouse wheel click on this. So everything's got that shared node. We'll find us a frame. All right, so let's just say that this is a good frame to grade this scene from. So same thing, I'm gonna use my printer light offsets and I'll bring down the exposure until it's in a good place. Actually, let me change this back to waveform. Highlights on his head are sitting way up right now, like 80, 90. I want to put them back around like 60, 55, 60 RE. So I'm gonna come way down on my exposure. Just check them right here. Still at about 80. Just check a couple other shots. Face right here is about 60. So it's still sitting about 70, 60. Go back to this, bring it down some more. And so I really wanted about 55 to 60 RE, which is about where this is sitting. So if I toggle this on, off. So now you should be able to go through all the clips, see how that scene balance feels. It's feeling nice to me, I like it. Don't want to spend too much time on the first pass, just getting everything balanced out and into the same world as each other. Like I said, this was shot all under the exact same lighting, so I really don't need to use the different exposure angle and clip. Everything should kind of just fall into place because everything's got the same exact lighting. Same thing, right click, save as shared node. We're gonna unlock it, all the clips in this group. Middle mouse wheel click, replace. So everything's gonna have that shared node for the group. All right, so there's a good shot to adjust it right here. So same thing, printer light offsets. You could use this and just drag this around. But again, I'm just gonna use my keyboard so that I have it set up. And again, the way this is working photometrically is because I got this set up as gamma, stops 18% gray. So it works just like as if I did it in my camera. So I'm gonna bring the exposure down some. Let me go back to my waveform. Bring my exposure down. Just look right here in the offsets. You can see the numbers dropping. Find where I want my exposure to sit. kind of want my skin to be between like 50 and 60, like 60 being the brightest parts on his face. So the highlights are hitting like 60 already here. That feels pretty nice. Maybe go up just a little bit since he is close to that light. Open it up a little bit. So let's say we like my balance there for now. Now I can change my white balance, go to my vector scope. Again, using my printer light hotkeys, I can see it's leaning in really cyan blue. So I'm gonna go to the opposite of cyan, add some red. I'm gonna take out some blue, add some yellow. Add some more red. Take out a little more blue. Maybe take out just a little bit of red. Take out a little bit of green. So let's say I like my balance right there. So I'm gonna toggle this node off and on. Again, the whole scene just got these adjustments. So as you can see, everything that got this adjustment looks exactly the same. All right, so next group, same thing. Save a shared node. Unlock it. Middle mouse wheel click, replace. Now we'll set the balance for this scene. Bring my exposure down for this scene. Just look at all the different clips, see how it feels for the scene. That's why it's the scene node. See how everything's feeling. Everything's feeling pretty good. Change the white balance now. Go to my vector scope. Take out a little bit of yellow by adding some blue. Take out a little magenta, add a little green. Add a little bit of red. Just say we like that. Now this whole entire scene's got that. So now we can do our secondary corrections. So I'm gonna add a vignette. I'm gonna add a power window right here. I'm gonna drag it to about like that. I'm gonna add the softness to around 10. I'm gonna invert the power window. So I'm gonna bring my exposure and the global wheel down to about 50. So now I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna select every clip on the timeline by clicking shift. And then I'm gonna go up to the top to color. I'm gonna go to ripple node changes to selected clips. Now every clip in the timeline should have got that same vignette correction. So if I toggle it on and off, you can see it taking effect. The ripple feature is a really good feature. That's why it's important to have a proper node tree or a template node structure in place, because if you use the same node tree all the time, then you can use those ripple features, but if you don't have a preset node tree, then you can't. Then let's say maybe you want to draw a little more attention to your subject. You could add a power window around your subject. For the purpose of this tutorial, I'm not going to do this for every single shot, but to give you an example, invert this mask, go to my HDR panel, bring the background down, go to my tracker, turn these off, track this forward and back. So now if I turn this off, you can see I made the background darker, brought more attention to the subject. And yeah, so that's what these are for. This would be like for the middle of the screen if you want a power window. Maybe something is too bright over here. You could go over here. You could make another power window. Maybe you think that this corner is a little too bright, so you could go over here to the pen tool and the RX for the right side. Maybe you can make a power window around here or something. Add some softness. I'm not really saying that this is what I would do right here. I'm just saying like what these are for. And maybe that's a little too bright. You need to bring that area down. So you could do something like that. And then these right here are just for anything extra contrast. If the contrast in the shot needs to be shifted, do it here. Saturation, do it here. So there you go, guys. There's a basic way to color grade a music video from start to finish inside of DaVinci Resolve. If you learned anything from this video at all, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, drop me a comment, share the video with all of your friends, and I'll see y'all in the next one.